In this instructional video, we will discuss registering the birth of a child born abroad and acquiring U.S. citizenship at birth. If you are a U.S. citizen and have a child abroad, you should submit an application for a consular report of birth abroad prior to the child's 18th birthday. However, we recommend applying as soon after the birth as possible. The Consular Report of Birth Abroad, or CRBA, is the equivalent of a U.S. birth certificate and serves as proof of U.S. citizenship. However, not all children born abroad to a U.S. citizen parent or parents automatically acquire citizenship. Acquiring citizenship at birth depends on 3 conditions. At least one parent must have U.S. citizenship prior to the child's birth. There must be a blood relationship between the U.S. citizen parents and child. The U.S. citizen parents must have been physically present in the United States for a certain period of time prior to the child's birth and must present evidence of this presence. Here are the 4 scenarios in which a child becomes a U.S. citizen at birth when born abroad. 1. If both parents are U.S. citizens, at least one parent resided in the U.S. for any length of time. 2. If one parent is a U.S. citizen and the child was born in wedlock, the U.S. citizen parent resided in the U.S. for at least 5 years prior to the birth of the child. At least 2 of the 5 years must have been after the age of 14. In cases of children born before November 14, 1986, a period of 10 years of physical presence is required, 5 of which should be before the parent's 14th birthday. 3. If a child is born out of wedlock and the father is a U.S. citizen, he must have resided in the U.S. for 5 years prior to the birth of the child, 2 of which must be after the age of 14, and he must agree in writing to financially support the child until the age of 18. 4. If a child is born out of wedlock and the mother is a U.S. citizen, she must have resided in the U.S. for at least 1 continuous year prior to the birth of the child. If you are a U.S. citizen parent or a non-U.S. parent of a child and believe that your child acquired U.S. citizenship at birth based on one of the scenarios just mentioned, you should register the child's birth. To do so, you must complete the DS 2029 application for a consular report of birth abroad, found online at travel.state.gov. You will make an appointment at the U.S. Embassy for a CRBA service. When you're ready for your appointment, come with the documentary evidence of the relationship between the child and parents, as well as evidence of the U.S. citizen parent's physical presence and citizenship prior to the child's birth. The documents you must present are child's birth certificate, evidence of the parent's U.S. citizenship and identity, such as a U.S. passport or naturalization certificate, evidence of the U.S. citizen parent's physical presence in the United States prior to the birth of the child. Evidence can include school, employment, tax, bank, and medical records, old foreign and/or American passports, or any other public documents. Parent's marriage certificate, if parents are married. Evidence of divorce, if a parent was previously married. And proof of identity for each parent, such as a passport or national ID. You must come to your appointment with all of these documents, the originals, and a copy. Your original documents will be returned to you at the end of the appointment. If the child's birth certificate or parent's marriage certificate are in a foreign language, you must also present a certified translation. Now that we've discussed the transmission requirements and the documents required when registering a child born to U.S. citizen parents abroad, let's discuss how to complete the DS 2029 application. After you find the application on travel.state.gov, you can either fill it out online and then print it, or print it and fill it out by hand. In the first section, Information about the child, you'll first write the child's full name, the last name, followed by the first name, and then the middle name if applicable. You must write the name exactly as it appears on the local birth certificate. Second, indicate whether the child is male or female. Then, write the date of birth, the month before the date, and the year. Finally, write the city and country in which the child was born. In the next section, Information about the mother, father, parent, you will complete each column with the biographic data of one parent. Numbers 5 and 11 will be the parent's full name, last name, first name, and middle name as it appears on their government-issued ID. On lines 6 and 12, list any other names used by the parent. On lines 7 and 13, indicate whether this parent is male or female. Next, record the parent's date and place of birth. On lines 10 and 16, write the local or U.S. address where the parent resides, their phone number, and email address if applicable. On line 17, write the best local mailing address for the family, if different from one of the above addresses. Now turn to page 2. In boxes 18 and 19, check whether or not this parent was a U.S. citizen at the time of the child's birth. If a parent was a legal permanent resident, you will check no. In the next section, Marital status of the parents, you will record the parent's marital status at the time of the child's birth. Check yes or no to whether the child's parents were married when the child was born. If the parents were married, write the date and place of the marriage on lines 21. Check whether the parents are still married, divorced, or if one parent died. If either parent had a previous marriage, list them in boxes 22 and 23. Boxes 24 and 25 are very important in determining whether the U.S. citizen parent or parents have met the residency requirements for transmitting citizenship to their child born abroad. Here you must list any time spent in the United States. Write the city and state, followed by the date in which you entered the United States and then departed. You do not need to list any time spent outside of the U.S. Now turn to page 3. If you spent time outside of the U.S. while employed by the U.S. government, armed forces, or as a dependent of someone who was, you should complete boxes 26 or 27. Remember, you will only list the time you spent abroad on a qualifying government contract. The final section of page 3 is only to be completed if you are a U.S. citizen father and you were not married to your child's mother at the time of his or her birth. If this is the case, you will complete the section in front of a notary public or the consular officer at the time of your appointment. On the final page of the DS 2029, you will find line 29 asking for your oath. Do not sign this until you are in front of a notary public or consular officer at the time of your appointment. You will leave this section 30 blank. This is for the consular officer processing your application. Congratulations! You've now finished completing the DS 2029 application for a consular report of birth abroad. You are now ready for your appointment. Here are a few key things to remember. Both parents should be present. However, if the U.S. citizen parent transmitting citizenship to the child is not in the country, he or she may complete the application in front of a notary public for the second parent to present at our office. The consular officer will also need to see the child, so please bring him or her to the interview. Occasionally, the consular officer will ask for more evidence of the U.S. citizen parent's biological relationship to the child, or If the child is older than an infant, a series of photos identifying the child's progression of growth. You may want to bring photos and hospital records with you to your interview. The cost of the CRBA application is $100 US. You may pay the fee at the time of the interview in US or local currency. If your child's CRBA is approved, you may want to apply for a US passport right away. For passport information, please see travel.state.gov. Congratulations on completing the application, and good luck on the day of your appointment.